Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you. Thank you for being with us. Whatever time you're able to give us, I'm truly appreciative of your day. I'm appreciative of how you spend your day, and I'm glad that you spend some of it with us. Thank you so much for that. 615-737-9986 is our telephone number. That is a direct way to communicate with us via the phones. I open those up probably more so than anybody else on Super Talk. I love speaking with you. 615-737-9986. You can also communicate with us on the membersnutrition.com super text line. That is open, available, and running for you. Members Nutrition super text line is the same telephone number, 615-737-9986. Text us at your leisure. Do you remember this? Do you remember when Joe Biden was asked about the protests on college campuses and whether or not, this is just, it feels like forever ago, but it was just like 8 days ago, where a reporter, it's difficult to ask, or difficult to hear rather, but he asks, do you condemn the anti-Semitic protest on college campuses? 20 seconds, listen in.
Condemn the anti-Semitic protests on college campuses.
I condemn the anti-Semitic protests. That's why I've set up a program to deal with that. I also condemn those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians.
So he condemns everybody. He condemns the protest. Well,
I also condemn those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians and how they're being.
Should the Columbia University president resign?
Right this way, Mr. President.
I didn't know that. I'll have to find out more about it.
So I think he misheard the reporter. The reporter asked him, should the Columbia president resign? This is like 8 days ago. This is on April 22nd. Do you condemn the anti-Semitic protest on college campuses? And Joe Biden essentially said that there are many fine people on both sides. That's what he said. I want you to listen to this again because there's an update coming from Karine Jean-Pierre, she of the impressive hair. Have you seen her hair today, Bill? My goodness gracious. There's a montage. I think the montage was presented by RNC Research or maybe townhall.com. There's a montage of Karine Jean-Pierre saying that I'll get back to you, or that it's not her, it's her circle back. Jen Psaki did the circle back. I don't have anything for you. I don't have anything on that. 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 And the beautiful, it's one thing to play it on the radio. It's another thing to see it because you can watch Karine Jean-Pierre's hair grow.
So they actually got them all in chronological order?
I think so. I think they did. Or you just do, it's like watching one of those, you know, I took a picture of my kid. Well, no, I'm thinking I took a picture of my kid every day for 10 years. And then they put that together and you watch the kid grow. It's like watching her hair grow. Or a chia pet for that matter. But real quick, one more time with Joe Biden.
Condemn the anti-Semitic protests on college campuses.
I condemn the anti-Semitic protests. That's why I've set up a program to deal with that.
What program is he talking about?
That's a serious question, right?
Well, it is. I mean, he said, she said, do you condemn the anti-Semitic protest on college campuses? And he said,
that's why I've set up a program to deal with that.
I've set up a program to deal with that. What program is that, Mr. President? How's that working, Mr. President? Can we get a follow-up on that program that you discussed? Sincere question. Does anybody know what program he's talking about? And how is that working?
That's why I've set up a program to deal with that. I also condemn those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians.
I also condemn those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians. Is that not a there are very fine people on both sides moment?
And it's very telling that he felt the need to include that when it wasn't part of the question.
Did not have to answer that. So Karine Jean-Pierre was asked about that today during her press briefing. Here's the lovely and talented Karine Jean-Pierre.
You mentioned that the president has taken questions on this. Again, respectfully, he hasn't. He did take a question where he said he condemns those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians. I know you've been asked about that, but since you brought up Charlottesville, what do you say to those critics who say that he is trying to have it both ways, that he's essentially, trying to talk about both anti-Semitism and what's going on with the Palestinians?
I would say to those critics is no, he's not doing a both sides scenario here.
So the answer to this, when reporters bring this up, so the president, where was he last night? Where is the president of the United States? We have civil unrest. America is devolving and dissolving before our very eyes in certain areas of this country. Where are you, Mr. President? Do you not feel compelled to speak on this? Do you not feel compelled to condemn this? There is lawlessness on college campuses. There was a 3-hour riot that went on at UCLA last night, a riot that the police did not intervene on. George Washington University in Washington, D.C., your backyard, dude. George Washington University 3 or 4 days ago asked the D.C. police to intervene on their campus. And you know what the D.C. police told them? No. No. You know why they told them no? I'm not making this up. I know. You think, Murphy, you have to be making this up. I'm not making this up. They told them no because it would be bad publicity. No, we're good, guys. Y'all handle it. Y'all got this covered. Y'all take care of it. Hey, D.C. police, we need some assistance. Nah, we're good. Campus of UCLA, I don't know if they called the police or not. I wouldn't be surprised if the LAPD, nah, we're good. Thanks. No, we got enough trouble.
When seconds count, the police are just one PR decision away.
You know what? we talked to our crisis management team, and they talked to public relations, and public relations told crisis management, it's probably not a good idea for us to get involved with any of this to protect and to serve our publicity. In the meantime, Karine Jean-Pierre just keeps lying about the facts of the matter. So reporters have gotten wise to this, and they're wondering, where is the president of the United States? Why is the president not speaking on this? Because he doesn't have anything to say that helps him. The right response, 80% of Americans agree with Israel. 80% of Americans agree that October 7th needed to be responded to. 80% of Americans understand the totality of the events going on there. 80% of Americans understand that as of 2006, the Gaza Strip was controlled by Hamas, and the West Bank was controlled by what was left over of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, and Israel left them to their own devices, protecting their own borders. They had the Palestine that they claim they want to free, and the only thing they did with it, the only thing they did with Palestinian aid is to create bunkers and tunnels and areas of armament to attack Jews. And they consistently hide behind innocent people. They consistently remind us of who they are. And so, of course, Joe Biden can't speak to this because he's afraid. He's afraid of college students. He's afraid of what will happen to him if he loses them. And so he doesn't care about the courage of any conviction that he might have had. In the meantime, Karine Jean-Pierre assures us that the president has spoken about this.
Has the president spoken to Mayor Adams since the NYPD became involved in dealing with them?
No, understand the question. Don't have anything to read out as far as a conversation with the mayor from the president, but I think we've been very, very clear about what we're seeing on the ground.
Pardon me for that pause there. That was on me. So the question was, has the president spoken to the mayor of New York about the involvement of the New York City Police Department? And the answer is, I don't know. Where is Joe Biden? Where is Joe Biden? This cuts beyond politics, does it not? Do we not expect a president will be on top of something that's affecting the entirety of the United States of America? Every corner of America is affected by this. At Columbia, at Harvard, at Yale, in the University of Texas. I mean, there are some, Vanderbilt, for heaven's sake. Yet nothing. And then this, just to reiterate, the reporters are on this story better than they have been on many others involving the President of the United States. And there was a follow-up regarding the President and his commentary on the protests.
Respectfully, you didn't quite answer it. The question was, why hasn't the President been more forceful in talking about the protests? You talked about how he's talked about anti-Semitism, but specific on the protests, why hasn't the President been more forceful in that?
And I hear the question, Gabe, but respectfully, the President has been no other President has spoken about anti-Semitism than this President.
But that's not the question. It's the protest.
And I'm answering it in the way that I believe is the best way to answer your question, which is the President has been very, very clear. He's been clear about this. He's taken action. He put forth a strategic plan to counter anti-Semitism, more than 100 new actions, and not just taking actions, but is actions that across the administration. This is a whole of government process, right? We have the Department of Homeland Security that's involved. We have the Department of Education that's involved. We want to make sure that we are dealing with this, not just words, not just speaking out, but taking action.
The level of nonsensical gobbledygook coming out of that person's mouth is insulting to the point that it ought to piss you off. I don't know if it does. Finally, we have reporters in the White House briefing room, and they've been getting more forceful over the last year or so because they're frustrated. This has been the most closed-off administration in the history of the United States of America, with good reason. Joe Biden cannot present himself before the reporters. He cannot present himself before the American people outside of a controlled environment because he is unable. He's unable to process questions. He's unable to answer them in any cogent way. In a way, if Karine Jean-Pierre was just a little bit better at her job, I might feel bad for her. If she was not such a lying, dishonest POS, I might feel bad for her, because she is put in an impossible situation. The question is, why hasn't Joe Biden been more forceful speaking against the pro-Hamas mob on college campuses? The answer is because he needs their votes. And there's no other way that he can win a re-election other than being pro-Hamas himself. That's the real answer. The answer that she gives is such an insult, I think you need to hear it one more time.
Respectfully, you didn't quite answer it. The question was, why hasn't the President been more forceful in talking about the protests? You talked about how he's talked about anti-Semitism. But specific on the protests, why hasn't the President been more forceful in that?
And I hear the question, Gabe, but respectfully, the President has been no other President has spoken about anti-Semitism than this President.
But that's not.
All right, so no other president has spoken about anti-Semitism more than this president. And they did so when it was convenient for them to do that. But the reporter then follows up, that's not the question. It's the protests.
That's not the question. It's the protests.
And I'm answering it in the way that I believe is the best way to answer your question.
What? I'm not answering your question. I'm going to say things that make it look best for this administration. I'm not going to speak to the fact that the president has been absent with regard to responding to these protests. I'm not going to explain to the American people, although perhaps I should, that the president is walking a fine line here. He's playing, as my grandpa used to say, Joe Biden is playing both ends against the middle for his own purposes. Joe Biden is more concerned about his reelection than he is concerned about the safety of Jewish students on college campuses. Period. End of discussion. Full stop. And I don't say that very often. Joe Biden is more worried about votes than he is about the safety of Jews. Can I put any other finer point on it?
Which is the president has been very, very clear. He's been clear about this. He's taken action. He put forth a strategic plan to counter anti-Semitism more than...
Did it work? Did it work? Look at what's going on in America. Did it work? More coming up.